David then comes running on, I need to make an announcement. Yeah, okay, microphone. And of course, he's run on stage and he's literally begging people not to leave.
There's a name on this list that tickles my interest.
Would it tickle your mum's interest a bit more?
It definitely would. A hero of mine, David Beckham.
Oh.
Now, he is the reason that Stevie supports Man United, because essentially your mum fancied David Beckham. So,
okay, so David Beckham, right? So, so other than doing sort of tour managey, production managey stuff, I also moonlight and do sort of conferences occasionally and big sort of AV stuff, so projecting onto buildings and all that kind of stuff. And I got a phone call going, do you want to come and do... So a few years ago, it was just before... Which World Cup was it? The one where Rooney had broken his toe. So I think I'm going back 3 World Cups maybe.
Right, okay.
And they decided the Beckhams had this party at their house, which they called Full Length and Fabulous. And they basically invited the world's great and good along.
2006, this was.
2006, right. So, and I was basically, and it was this massive party. Obviously, it was they were doing a big charity auction and all sorts of stuff.
What's this in aid of? Sorry, what was the
I don't know. I can't remember
what. You can't remember, right?
What it was.
It was just had it before.
Yeah, it was a pre.
Well, do you remember the party?
Yeah, it was a pre. It was huge.
Yeah, it was quite big news.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And this was at Beckingham Palace, right? And obviously when they're at home, the flag is all the way up, and when they're out, it's at half mast. It was all that sort of shit. Anyway, so I had access everywhere because we were projecting onto the house. So we built this massive marquee and all the rest of it. And we had 2 acts that were on. First one was Robbie Williams, who was coming on at midnight. And then the headline act for all of the great and good to come and see was James Brown. And he was obviously, coming on after Robbie Williams. But the thing with all these sorts of huge... massive parties like that with all of the the A-listers and great and good is most of them actually don't stay out very late.
So 12 is late. Like midnight's a late time for a performance to start.
Exactly.
If that was Reading Festival, the Foo Fighters would be done. They'd be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously they all come along, and we had Gordon Ramsay was there swearing at everybody and making dinner, and then
Ramsay
obviously
was actually cooking.
He doesn't, mate.
Ramsay was there overseeing all of the cooking. Overseeing.
Have a day off, Ramsay. Let your hair down, Ramsay.
Yeah. So anyway, so there we are. It's all going swimmingly, and there's all, as I say, ridiculous A-listers all over the place. And I'm running around, as I say, doing all the projection onto the houses and all this sort of stuff. And anyway, it gets to be 12 o'clock, and Robbie Williams comes on. Fantastic. I don't want to rock.
DJ.
Gives it the whole bit. Does about half an hour. Brilliant. Audience love it.
Did he have his top off?
Can't remember.
Why are you asking that?
No.
Because he normally, back in the day, would have it off.
Yeah.
But what would you have
I'm
said if he
trying
said
to
yes?
paint a visual
A
image.
visual picture. So he then buggers off, but then unfortunately half the audience, and in fact more than half, probably 80% of the audience basically all start to bugger off.
Did they not know James Brown was coming up?
Well, here's the thing. So obviously David then comes running on, I need to make an announcement. Yeah, okay, microphone. And of course he's run on stage and he's literally begging people not to leave. He's gone, we've got James Brown coming on. You can't go, fuck. We've got James Brown, please stay around. Unfortunately, very few people paid any attention. I mean, let's face it, bless David, he's not got the most authoritarian voice.
He's softly spoken.
Yeah, exactly that. Lovely man.
Please don't go home. James Brown's coming on in a little bit, Victoria tells me.
So James Brown, it wasn't great. James Brown finally comes on stage about 3 o'clock in the morning, by which point there's literally about 30 people left. So it did end up... I was on stage as me, James Brown, P. Diddy, Will Young, and we're all basically dancing. I know, that's a random one. We're all basically dancing to Sex Machine on stage. And when you say like moments when you think, fucking hell, what am I doing here? That was one of them.
James Brown couldn't have been alive much longer.
James Brown died about 3-4 months after that.
Oh, really?
You were on stage with him as one of his final performances.
When he was basically, and I say, giving it the full Sex Machine. Amazing.
Robbie was the first keeper to win a trophy at New Wembley, and you're one of the last people to perform with James Brown.
James Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should clarify. I wasn't performing. I was just basically just going, fucking hell.
Well, you were doing
we're
some
having a
form of
laugh.
performance there.
Absolutely, yeah. And we all get to dance and jump around with James Brown. Madness.
Were loads of other England footballers there and stuff then?
they were all there, and I actually did because there's Rooney, and as I say, because he'd hurt his toe, he couldn't play. And then, to his absolute credit, obviously at that time he was pretty much one of the
Starboard,
best.
wasn't he? Yeah.
He was one of the best strikers on the planet. And obviously the fact that he couldn't go, but there he was on the dance floor, fucking hooping it away. And I can remember me and a load of my mates like, "What the fuck? Why isn't it really?" And yet you can't go and put your boots on and do a bit for England, wanker. Anyway, so that's a bit of a Beckham story for you there.
When you're at somewhere like that, because obviously you're working first and foremost, are you allowed to mingle and chat to people, or what's the etiquette?
It depends upon the gig. I mean, that one. Actually, I think I was the only person who didn't sign an NDA because I think I was at the top of fixing a projector or something, or building a projector when they were going around making everybody sign an NDA. So I didn't sign one. So if I'd have wanted to, which obviously I never would, but I could have basically, told tales and things. I mean, as we used to arrive every day, the paparazzi were obviously just frothing at the mouth for it all. And we had my mate who was I was working with, who was driving us along, had this big blacked out sort of SUV before they were kind of, everywhere. And at the last minute, so we would drive in, and as we'd get to the gates, just as they were opening, obviously all the paps are going bananas. I'd wind down the window. I'd sort of, hit the button and window down, and I had sort of really ridiculous shades on, and I just used to lean out the window and scream, "Fucking vultures!" at the paps. And for the first 3 days, I got them, beautifully every single time. They got great shots of me hanging out the window, screaming wanker at them. And then after that, they'd obviously knew which car it was, so they weren't so interested in me after that. But it made me feel good.
What was he like then, Beckham?
Beckham was lovely.
Was he?
Yeah. And
Victoria,
he used to.
nice as
Do you
well?
know what? Again, I think if you turn around to anybody and you said to them, okay, 24/7 for the rest of your natural, there is going to be somebody somewhere with a long lens wanting to take a photograph of you. And they don't want a nice photo.
Yeah.
What they want is a photo where you look ugly.
Yeah.
Or where you don't look skinny, or you this, that, and the other. So that poor girl, I mean, I remember I met the Spice Girls years before, because we did Royal Varieties with them and all that kind of stuff. And I just think she's one of those people that there's a reason why she puts that face on, and is that, and when you see, every time when you see her just standing normally, she's not standing normally. She's got one leg slightly in front of the other because she knows that's the kind that carries her, and that means if someone's taking a photo, then actually she it gives the best sort of angle and whatever. So I just think that people forget. That there's a level of, there's an old saying, who would pay the price of fame? And that, those two, I mean, I'm sure, obviously, the billions and billions that they've got, it does compensate, for the distress that she's, but yeah, I think that would weigh on you. But yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, she kind of like, in all the dealings I've ever had with her, she was just very polite and did her thing and got on with it, but it wasn't really very chatty. David was really chatty, come and say hello. And
was he?
Yeah, he was lovely.
Yeah,
lovely
met him,
guy.
didn't
Yeah, I met him for a few minutes, but very, very lovely man.
Was he
yeah.
really chatty with you?
Yeah. Oh, I was playing on a PlayStation when he walked in. And I was like, I should probably finish my game. And then he just sat next to me and watched me die on Fall Guys. And I went, oh, hello. Right.
Did you feel a bit giddy?
Well, yeah, it's David Beckham.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I posted the photo, all I got was loads of people going, "Does he smell nice?"
Did he
I don't
smell
know.
nice?
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
What you could actually, that was something you actually realised.
Yeah, I was right next to him. The photo got my arm around.
What did
him.
he smell of?
I was just nice. I don't have a specific
you smell
thing.
of nice.
No, he smelled nice.
The new fragrance.